Narrator. Once upon a time, in a quiet little town, Peppa Pig and her family discovered something very strange in their garden. Peppa and George are playing in their backyard when they notice a peculiar, shimmering muddy puddle that wasn't there before. The puddle seems to glow with an eerie green light. Peppa, George, look at this funny puddle. It's glowing like a magical fairy light. George, dinosaur, grr. Daddy Pig comes outside to investigate the strange puddle. His glasses reflect the mysterious green glow as he scratches his head in confusion. Daddy Pig, that's very odd indeed. I don't remember this puddle being here yesterday. And why is it glowing like that? Mummy Pig joins them, looking concerned but curious. The whole family gathers around the mysterious puddle as strange, harmless bubbles begin to emerge from it. Mummy Pig, children, perhaps we should stay away from this puddle until we understand what it is. Suddenly, the puddle begins to make soft, musical humming sounds. Peppa's ears perk up with excitement, while George hides behind Daddy Pig's legs. Peppa, listen, the puddle is singing to us. How wonderful! As they watch, tiny, friendly ghost-like figures begin to dance above the puddle. They look like miniature versions of Peppa's family, but translucent and glowing softly. Narrator. The little spirits seemed friendly, but they were trying to tell the family something important. The ghost figures point toward the nearby woods, gesturing for the family to follow them. Their expressions are kind but urgent. Ghost Peppa, follow us, we need your help. The family decides to follow the friendly spirits into the woods. The path is illuminated by floating, glowing orbs that light their way safely. Daddy Pig, well, they seem friendly enough. Let's see what they want to show us. Deep in the woods, they discover an ancient, magical tree with a door in its trunk. The tree has a sad face carved into its bark, and its leaves are wilting. Mummy Pig, oh my, this poor tree looks very sad and unwell. The ghost figures explain that the tree is the guardian of the forest, but it has lost its magical crystal that keeps the woods healthy and happy. Ghost George, tree sick, crystal gone, help tree. Peppa bravely steps forward and asks the tree what happened to its crystal. The tree's eyes glow softly as it begins to speak in a gentle, whispery voice. Magic tree. Long ago, my crystal fell into the deepest part of the forest. Without it, I grow weaker each day. The family decides to help find the crystal. They follow a trail of glowing mushrooms that lead deeper into the enchanted forest. Peppa, don't worry, Mr. Tree. We'll find your crystal and make you feel better. They encounter friendly forest creatures, talking rabbits, wise owls, and helpful squirrels, who all want to help save their beloved tree guardian. Wise OWL, hoot hoot, the crystal lies in the crystal cave, but beware, it's guarded by a sleepy dragon who loves riddles. The family arrives at the crystal cave, where they meet a large but friendly dragon who is yawning and stretching. The dragon has kind eyes and a gentle smile. Sleepy dragon, Yawn, who dares to wake me from my nap? Oh, hello little ones. The dragon explains that he's not scary at all. He's just very sleepy and loves to tell riddles. He agrees to give them the crystal if they can solve his favorite riddle. It was a beautiful sunny morning in Peppa Pig's garden. Peppa and George were playing their favorite game, Catch the Butterfly. Catch it, George. Catch the sparkly butterfly. George, with his little arms outstretched, giggled as he tried to keep up. But then, Peppa noticed something odd. A shadow, not quite like any shadow she'd seen before, flickered at the edge of their garden. George, look, what's that? George, distracted by the butterfly, didn't seem to notice. Peppa squinted. The shadow seemed to stretch and shrink, as if dancing in the breeze, but there was no breeze. Peppa, always a brave little pig, decided to investigate. She tiptoed towards the fence, her heart doing a tiny thump thump thump. As she got closer, the shadow seemed to pull back, as if shy. Hello? Is anyone there? Silence. The shadow was gone. But on the ground, where it had been, was a small, smooth, glowing pebble. It pulsed with a soft, gentle light. Peppa carefully picked up the pebble. It was warm to the touch. She'd never seen anything like it. It wasn't a toy, and it certainly wasn't from their garden. "Look, George, a magic pebble." George stopped chasing the butterfly and waddled over, his eyes wide with curiosity. He poked the glowing stone with his finger. "Peppa, George, what have you found?" Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig had come out to see what all the excitement was about. Their smiles faded when they saw the glowing pebble. This is unusual. I've never seen a rock quite like this." Daddy Pig, usually so confident, seemed a little perplexed. As Daddy Pig held the pebble, its glow intensified, casting strange, dancing patterns on their faces. The air around them felt different. Not cold, not hot, just different. "It's getting brighter." George clutched Peppa's hand, a tiny whimper escaping him. They both felt a shiver, not from cold, but from something unknown. Just as suddenly as it brightened, the pebble's glow faded, and for a fleeting moment, the mysterious shadow reappeared behind the fence, larger this time, almost waving, before vanishing completely. Well, that was peculiar. Mummy Pig picked up the now ordinary-looking pebble. It was just a regular stone again. "Do you think it was a friendly shadow?" Peppa looked back at the fence, a thoughtful expression on her face. She wondered if the shadow would ever return. The Peppa Pig family went back inside, the garden looking just as it always did. But the memory of the glowing pebble and the mysterious shadow lingered, a little secret between them and the garden. Mysterious shadow. Later that night, Peppa looked out her window. She thought she saw a faint shimmer in the distance, just beyond their garden fence. Was it just the moonlight, or was the mysterious shadow still out there, watching? Only time would tell. The garden slept under the stars, but a tiny, almost invisible speck of light pulsed softly near the fence, a silent promise of future mysteries. Peppa and George were fast asleep, dreaming of butterflies and adventures. Unbeknownst to them, a faint glow emanated from under Peppa's pillow, where she had hidden the pebble. The pebble, now dull to the eye, still held a tiny spark of its mysterious light, waiting for another day. As the night deepened, the pebble's glow intensified ever so slightly, a silent beacon in the darkness. Outside, the mysterious shadow, now a bit clearer, observed the house from a distance, its form shifting like smoke. It lingered near Peppa's window, a silent, watchful presence. A wispy hand seemed to reach out towards the house, but it never quite touched. As dawn approached, the shadow dissipated into the night, leaving only the faint, persistent glow from the pebble within the house. The mystery of the garden continued. It was a beautiful, sunny afternoon in Peppa Pig's garden. Peppa and George were playing their favorite game, muddy puddles. Even though there wasn't a single puddle in sight, their laughter echoed through the air, a sound of pure, innocent joy. Suddenly, Peppa paused. Her keen pig eyes, usually so focused on fun, caught a glimpse of something unusual in the distance. A faint shimmer, deep within the whispering woods, a place Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig had always told them to avoid. George, ever the playful little brother, tugged at her dress, eager to continue their game. But Peppa was transfixed. The shimmer seemed to call to her, a silent, mysterious invitation. Against her better judgment, and ignoring George's protests, Peppa slowly walked towards the edge of the woods. With each step, the shadows seemed to lengthen, embracing her in their cool, silent embrace. The cheerful butterflies had vanished, leaving an unsettling quiet. A shiver ran down Peppa's spine. Her heart pounded like a drum against her ribs. A single tear escaped her eye, tracing a path down her cheek. Yet she felt an irresistible pull, a strange compulsion to enter the forbidden woods. As Peppa stepped into the whispering woods, the world around her transformed. The trees, once distant and benign, now loomed, their gnarled branches twisting into skeletal fingers, clawing at the darkening sky. The vibrant green grass was replaced by a carpet of decaying leaves. George, finally understanding the gravity of the situation, cried out for his sister. His voice, usually so boisterous, was now a trembling whisper. He stood at the edge, torn between his fear and his love for Peppa. Peppa turned, her face a ghostly pale. She extended a hand towards George, a silent plea for him to join her. But her eyes, usually so full of life, were now vacant, distant, as if she were no longer truly there. Despite his overwhelming fear, George took a tentative step into the woods. The air grew colder, chilling him to the bone. A faint, mournful whisper, like the sigh of a forgotten spirit, drifted through the trees. Hand in hand, Peppa and George ventured deeper. The shimmer, which had drawn Peppa in, was now a pulsating, eerie light, emanating from a clearing ahead. It beckoned them, promising answers, but hinting at something far more sinister. They reached the clearing. In its center stood a single, ancient, withered tree, its branches bare and twisted. It glowed with a strange, otherworldly light, and upon its bark, unsettling symbols were carved, symbols that seemed to writhe and shift before their very eyes. The symbols on the tree seemed to pulse with a life of their own, their forms subtly shifting. A low, guttural hum, deep and resonant, emanated from the ancient wood, vibrating through the very ground beneath their feet. Peppa, as if in a trance, slowly reached out her hand towards the glowing tree. Her fingers trembled, but an unseen force seemed to guide her, compelling her to make contact. The moment Peppa's fingers brushed the ancient bark, the light intensified, blinding them both. A distorted, high-pitched wail, filled with unimaginable sorrow and despair, ripped through the air. George instinctively covered his ears, his small body shaking with terror. Peppa's eyes rolled back into her head, and she collapsed to the ground, unconscious. The eerie light from the tree dimmed, as if its purpose had been fulfilled. George, his heart aching with fear and desperation, rushed to Peppa's side. He gently shook her, tears streaming down his face, calling her name again and again, but she remained unresponsive. It was a dark and stormy night at Peppa's house. The wind howled through the trees, and rain pattered against the windows. Peppa and George were supposed to be sleeping, but strange sounds were coming from the attic above their bedroom. Peppa, George, did you hear that? It sounds like footsteps. But Mummy and Daddy are downstairs watching television. Who could be walking around up there? George, dinosaur scared. The sounds are getting louder, Peppa. Maybe we should tell Mummy and Daddy about the noises in the attic. But as they crept toward their bedroom door, the sounds suddenly stopped. The house fell into an eerie silence, broken only by the storm outside. Peppa felt a chill run down her spine. Peppa, the silence is even scarier than the noises, George. Something doesn't feel right. The air feels different, colder, like something is watching us from the shadows. Suddenly, a long, dark shadow appeared under their bedroom door. It moved slowly, as if searching for something. The shadow had no owner that they could see. George, Peppa, look at the shadow. It's moving by itself. Shadows aren't supposed to move without someone making them. This is very, very scary. Peppa, we need to be brave, George. Maybe it's just a tree branch casting shadows from the storm outside. But why does it look like it has long, thin fingers reaching toward us? The shadow began to grow larger and darker, creeping under the door and spreading across their bedroom floor. It seemed to be alive, moving with purpose and intelligence. Peppa, George, hide under the blankets. The shadow is getting bigger. It's covering our toys, our books, everything, and it feels so cold wherever it touches. From somewhere in the darkness, they heard a whisper. It was soft and distant, but unmistakably calling their names. Peppa, George, come to the attic. George, did you hear that, Peppa? Someone is calling our names. But the voice sounds strange, like it's coming from very far away, or from somewhere that doesn't exist. Peppa, we shouldn't go to the attic, George. Mummy and Daddy always said never to go up there alone. But the voice keeps calling us. Sounds familiar, but wrong somehow. Despite their fear, curiosity began to overcome them. The mysterious voice continued to call, growing slightly louder each time. Come and play. Come and see what's waiting for you. Peppa, maybe we should just peek. Just a quick look to see what's making those sounds. We'll stay together, and if anything scary happens, we'll run straight to Mummy and Daddy. They crept out of their room and toward the attic stairs. Each step creaked loudly in the scary Peppa Pig episode that never made it on TV. It was a perfectly ordinary Tuesday morning when Peppa woke up in her bedroom. But something felt different. The sunlight seemed dimmer than usual, casting strange shadows across her pink walls. As she got dressed, she noticed her reflection in the mirror was smiling even though she wasn't. Downstairs, Mummy Pig was making breakfast, but her movements were too precise, too mechanical. When she turned to greet Peppa, her smile stretched just a little too wide across her face. Daddy Pig sat reading his newspaper, but the pages were completely blank. His glasses reflected nothing, creating two dark voids where his eyes should be. When he spoke, his voice echoed as if coming from somewhere far away. George was at the table, clutching his dinosaur toy, but the toy's eyes had changed. They followed Peppa as she moved around the room, and its plastic smile had become more sinister. After breakfast, the family visited Grandpa Pig's garden. But as they walked down the familiar path, the trees grew taller and their branches reached down like gnarled fingers. The flowers had turned black, their petals falling like tears. Grandpa Pig was tending to his vegetables, but the carrots and potatoes had faces carved into them, all wearing the same unsettling grin. His boat rocked gently in the pond despite the absence of any wind. When they returned home, Peppa's friends came to visit. Susie Sheep arrived first, but her wool was matted and gray, and she spoke in whispers. Rebecca Rabbit hopped into the garden, but her ears drooped unnaturally. Pedro Pony galloped over, but his hooves made no sound on the ground. All of Peppa's friends gathered in a circle, but their shadows pointed in different directions despite the single sun overhead. As the day wore on, the house itself began to change. The yellow walls started to pulse like a heartbeat, and the purple sofa seemed to breathe. The television turned on by itself, showing only static. The family portrait on the wall began to shift, with the painted figures moving their eyes to watch whoever walked by. The stairs creaked with footsteps even when no one was climbing them. When evening came, the sun set too quickly, plunging the world into darkness. The stars formed patterns that hurt to look at directly, and the moon wore the same wide smile. As Peppa prepared for bed, she looked in her mirror one last time. Her reflection waved goodbye, but Peppa's own hand remained at her side. The reflection's smile grew wider until it filled the entire mirror. The next morning, everything returned to normal, but Peppa couldn't shake the feeling that somewhere, in another reflection, another version of her family was still smiling those two wide smiles. Scary Peppa Pig episode that never made it on TV. It was Tuesday morning when Peppa woke up, but something felt different. The sunlight seemed dimmer, casting strange shadows across her pink walls. Her reflection in the mirror was moving just a fraction too late. Downstairs, Mummy Pig was making breakfast in eerie silence. Her eyes never blinked, and her smile seemed frozen. George sat staring at his cereal bowl, but the milk inside was slowly turning black. Daddy Pig entered with glasses reflecting only darkness. His voice echoed from somewhere far away. The family sat for breakfast, but nobody ate. They just moved their spoons in endless circles, creating rhythmic scraping sounds. At playgroup, Peppa's friends stood perfectly still in a circle. Susie Sheep's wool had turned gray, her eyes becoming hollow black holes. Pedro Pony's mane hung lifeless. When Peppa spoke to them, they turned in unison, mouths opening to reveal rows of sharp teeth. The playground equipment moved on its own. Swings swayed with no one on them, creaking haunting melodies. The slides stretched impossibly long into a dark tunnel. The seesaw rocked faster and faster. Madame Gazelle stood with antlers grown into twisted branches scraping the ceiling. When she opened her mouth to sing, only low growls emerged. Children's drawings on the wall transformed into dark, twisted images. Peppa realized she was the only normal one. Everyone else moved like puppets on invisible strings. The sky had turned sickly green, clouds forming grinning faces. The school bell rang with deep, ominous tolls. Her friends walked toward her with jerky movements. Their eyes had turned completely black, speaking in unison with voices not their own. Peppa tried to run, but hallways became a maze. Every door led to the same classroom where Madame Gazelle waited with her twisted smile. Walls closed in, floors tilted impossibly. Finally, Peppa found herself home, but everything was wrong. Furniture in same places but slightly off. Colors too bright, shadows too dark, silence too complete. In her room, Peppa looked in the mirror. Her reflection smiled back, but Peppa wasn't smiling. The reflection waved while Peppa stood frozen. Then the reflection stepped out, and Peppa realized she was trapped behind the glass. The episode ended with cheerful laughter echoing through the house, but Peppa knew nothing would ever be the same.